In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away."
The empire is bleeding in real time. Everyone thought the Carter brand was untouchable, insulated by power, awards, and carefully managed silence, until a name surfaces in newly unsealed Epstein-related files and the numbers start dropping like a public verdict. What was supposed to be an old allegation, buried by a withdrawn lawsuit, explodes back into circulation as screenshots of vanishing followers spread across Instagram and Threads, and insiders whisper that crisis teams are in overdrive. An intake report referencing the 1990s places Jay-Z in a room tied to an assault claim involving Harvey Weinstein. A December 2024 civil filing alleges he and Sean Combs targeted a 13-year-old after the 2000 MTV VMAs. He counters with a defamation suit and cites roughly $20 million a year in lost Roc Nation contracts. A leaked recording appears to clear him, yet a sworn declaration doubles down. If the tape exonerates him, why does the backlash accelerate? And why do the follower receipts look eerily familiar? This is not a scandal fading. It is a machine gaining torque, and the next drop is positioned to hit harder than the last.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
The spark that ignites this wave is not a conviction, not an indictment, but a document release. Millions of pages are made public, and inside that mass sits a single intake narrative placing Jay-Z in a room in the mid-1990s during an alleged assault involving Harvey Weinstein. It is not framed as a charge. It is not presented as a court finding. It is simply logged, cataloged, attached to a tip submitted years later to federal authorities. But the internet does not treat it as background material. Screenshots circulate within hours. Excerpts are clipped and reposted. Threads reduce the intake summary to a single line. He was present. And in this climate, presence is enough. Industry observers say the timing lands with brutal precision because it arrives while Sean Combs is already facing racketeering and trafficking charges and awaiting trial. Anyone who once moved in that orbit now finds their name scanned and rescanned, as if proximity itself is a confession. That is how a document turns into a detonation. The official response comes quickly. Representatives point out that an intake report is not proof, that it reflects what someone claimed, not what investigators established. But that clarification never trends the way the allegation does. What trends is the image of a room, a date in the 1990s, and the suggestion that a cultural icon was present at the wrong moment. Then older accusations resurface with fresh velocity. In December 2024, a civil filing alleges that Jay-Z and Sean Combs targeted a 13-year-old after the 2000 MTV VMAs. The lawsuit is withdrawn with prejudice, meaning it cannot be revived. For a moment, that looks like closure. But closure evaporates when a recording surfaces in which the accuser appears to agree that Jay-Z did not commit the act. His attorney tells ABC News that she says, "In no uncertain terms, Mr. Carter did not do this." It sounds definitive until it is not. The same accuser files a sworn declaration insisting she stands by her claims and withdrew the case out of fear of intimidation and retaliation. Two narratives now exist at once: the tape that appears to clear him and the statement that reaffirms the allegation. That contradiction is gasoline. His legal team escalates, filing a defamation and extortion lawsuit against the accuser and her lawyer, alleging significant harm to his business and reputation. Reports cite roughly $20 million a year in lost Roc Nation contracts. That number sticks. It reframes the scandal as not just moral exposure, but economic impact. Insiders in the music industry say contract partners grow skittish when names appear in the same breath as trafficking investigations. They do not wait for verdicts. They adjust risk. And so the narrative shifts from allegation denied to empire under pressure.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact find.
Here is where it bends again. Another lawsuit surfaces, this time from a man named Joseph Manzaro, who alleges he was humiliated and coerced into an intimate situation at a 2015 party connected to King Combs' 17th birthday. The filing claims that Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and LeBron James witnessed the scene. The response is immediate and precise. Jay-Z's attorney states that he was not even in Florida at the time, citing publicly verifiable activity in New York tied to title. The Estefan family denies any party at the property between 2012 and 2019. Documentation is promised, but once again the pattern holds. Name drop, denial, trending topic. People close to the Carters say they are checking headlines daily to see whether their names surface in Sean Combs' trial. The fear is not accusation. The fear is mention. In this environment, being mentioned is enough to trigger reputational freefall. While legal teams issue statements and counterfilings, a different player steps forward with less restraint. 50 Cent does not wait for courtroom developments. He posts. First, an unflattering caricature of Jay-Z circulates with a caption implying reluctance to share it, while sharing it anyway. Then photos of Jay-Z and Sean Combs together across decades appear on Instagram, set to Bill Withers' song Just the Two of Us, accompanied by the taunt, "Friends till the end? Jay, you still there?" It reads like a joke. It lands like a warning. Industry analysts note that 50 Cent is producing a documentary examining Sean Combs' legal troubles. Now he publicly signals that Jay-Z's appearance in newly declassified records could become content as well. He does not accuse. He insinuates. An insinuation, amplified by millions of followers, travels faster than any legal brief. The rivalry that once played out in lyrics now unfolds in real time, with scandal as fuel.
You say greed?
Greed.
The money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the power, one of the two.
I mean, it
I
looks
don't
more
know.
like power.
It's this spell, right?
Right.
That Jay got. That's why I kind of look at Kanye and Dame and all them. They the old me.
Right.
They the YouTube me.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That this Dame look like the old YouTube me to me, because he hurt, bro.
That rivalry is not new. It stretches back to the late 1990s when 50 Cent released How to Rob, and Jay-Z responded with It's Hot. For years, it played as competitive theater. Today, that competitive energy intersects with legal vulnerability. People in the industry whisper that 50 understands narrative timing better than most. He waits for the document drop. He waits for the lawsuit headlines. Then he posts. Comment sections ignite with speculation that Jay-Z is next. That proximity to Sean Combs will become a permanent stain. As those posts circulate, older controversies resurface. The 2014 elevator incident at the Met Gala, where security footage shows Solange Knowles physically confronting Jay-Z, re-enters discussion threads. It is framed not as old gossip, but as evidence of unresolved tension. A designer recently suggests the altercation stemmed from Jay-Z complimenting Rachel Roy's dress. It sounds trivial. It reopens wounds. Meanwhile, the relationship timeline between Beyoncé and Jay-Z is dragged back into public debate. Interviews from years past are re-examined. In 2008, Beyoncé tells 17 magazine that she was 18 when they met and 19 when they began dating. In a 2007 conversation with Charlie Rose, Jay-Z appears to suggest they met a decade earlier, placing her at 16. A photo reportedly taken on the set of No by Destiny's Child circulates as visual confirmation that they crossed paths at that age. There is no allegation of wrongdoing attached to that image. Yet the age gap becomes ammunition in comment sections already inflamed by intake reports and civil filings. People write that he got her young. They connect dots that may not connect. But the mood is not cautious. It is accusatory. And this is where the public scoreboard matters. Screenshots claim that Beyoncé dropped millions of followers in days. Others insist Jay-Z fell below 1 million. Analytics sites show steady declines over months, not overnight collapses, but the viral images do not reflect slow erosion. They show sudden hemorrhage. The same style of screenshots circulated during Sean Combs' arrest in 2024. Now they reappear, framed as proof that the public is revolting over Epstein file mentions. No one can pinpoint who first posted them this time. No one confirms their timestamps, yet they spread with authority. People close to the situation say the couple's teams are monitoring engagement metrics hourly because, in this era, follower counts function like a market ticker. They are interpreted as judgment.
I mean, why waste my time?
And sometimes you respond to something that brings way more attention to it, too.
That too. And it's just, it goes into another space, and then you just like, are y'all not listening to me?
Right. But then you'll have somebody else that'll say to you.
But the contradictions stack up. A withdrawn lawsuit is treated as confirmation by some and as conspiracy by others. A recording that appears to clear him is dismissed as intimidation by critics. An alibi placing him in New York during a Florida party is ignored in favor of the original claim. If evidence exists that he was not present, why do the accusations continue to land? If the intake report is only a tip summary, why does it feel like a verdict? And if the follower drops are exaggerated or recycled, who benefits from the illusion of collapse? These are not abstract questions. They are strategic ones, because in the middle of federal investigations, documentary production deals, and long-standing rivalries, narrative control is currency. And right now, control appears contested. What makes this moment volatile is not a single allegation, but convergence. The Sean Combs trial looms. Epstein-related documents circulate. Civil suits name-drop celebrities. A recording leaks. A sworn declaration contradicts it. A defamation case is filed. Rival posts taunt millions. Old footage resurfaces. Relationship timelines are scrutinized. Followers fluctuate. Each element alone might be manageable. Together, they form a cascade. And the silence from Beyoncé in the middle of it all becomes its own storyline. Comment sections demand statements. Insiders insist she is in protective mode. The public reads restraint as strategy or guilt, depending on which side they occupy. The longer that silence holds, the louder the speculation grows. As more pages from federal archives are combed through, the possibility lingers that another mention, another intake narrative, another name drop is waiting to be screenshotted and launched.
I never have. But I've liked Jay-Z a great deal. I've never liked, like there are people who do things because they know they can. And that's it had that bully mentality. There are people that do things that know they can. And here's the thing, it isn't whether you believe that Diddy did it or not. It's the silence from the people who work with him.
What shifts now is not the allegation itself, but the pattern around it.
What shifts now is not the allegation itself, but the pattern around it. People inside the industry begin describing a different kind of anxiety, one that has less to do with courts and more to do with proximity. For years, the Carters operated at the center of a tight elite network. White parties, joint ventures, collaborations signaling power alignment. Photographs from the early 2000s show Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and Sean Combs shoulder to shoulder at events that once read as harmless glamour. Now those same images circulate as visual evidence of association. No accusation needs to be attached. The image does the work. Insiders say brands are hypersensitive to adjacency, especially when federal language like racketeering and trafficking enters the headlines. The fear is contagion. And contagion in the entertainment economy moves faster than any court ruling. What was once a shared orbit now looks like a liability. Every archived photo becomes part of a liability audit. That is why whispers around business begin to matter more than filings. Quiet conversations about partnerships, distribution, and future deals start shifting in tone. When a company loses roughly $20 million a year in contracts, that is not treated as symbolic damage. It is leverage. It is vulnerability. Competitors see it. Rivals understand it. Some sources suggest that narrative pressure can function as economic pressure, especially when a billionaire's empire rests on cultural credibility as much as balance sheets. Jay-Z built an image of strategic genius, the first hip-hop billionaire, an art collector, a venture capitalist. The idea that he could be reduced to trending topics and intake summaries threatens that mythology. That is why the counterattack in court feels less like defense and more like a message: push back or risk erosion. But every aggressive legal move also feeds another storyline: that he is fighting not just for reputation, but for control. Control becomes the quiet theme. Beyoncé's silence is interpreted through that lens. She is not accused in the documents, yet she becomes the moral pressure valve. Comment sections fill with demands that she speak, address, and condemn. Insiders describe her as being in protection mode, a phrase that surfaces repeatedly in private conversations. Protection of family, protection of brand, protection of children who now hear their father's name paired with violent allegations. The absence of a public statement is read two ways at once. To supporters, it is disciplined restraint. To critics, it is strategic avoidance. And this is where the older fracture re-enters the frame. The elevator footage never fully disappears from cultural memory. It resurfaces whenever new strain appears. The narrative becomes cyclical. Tension behind closed doors, scandal outside them, silence in response. People begin asking whether the silence is loyalty or survival.
I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
Meanwhile, 50 Cent escalates from troll to strategist. His Instagram posts are not random bursts. They land in rhythm with legal developments. He has already positioned himself as a chronicler of Diddy's collapse through a documentary project. Music Now, he signals that Jay-Z's file appearance could form the next chapter. Industry watchers note that this is not simply personal animus. It is market positioning. In a landscape hungry for scandal, whoever controls the narrative controls the clicks, the streams, and the conversation. When 50 posts images of Jay-Z with Diddy and captions them with casual mockery, he reframes years of friendship as potential complicity. He does not need to accuse directly. He simply asks whether Jay is still there. That question lingers. Music, it plants doubt without evidence. And in a climate primed for suspicion, doubt is enough to keep the machine turning. What complicates the story further is how quickly public memory reshapes itself. The relationship timeline that once read as romance now reads as calculation in certain corners of the internet. Age gaps are reframed as warning signs. Old interviews are clipped and reposted with new captions. The same sentences that once fueled fairy tale narratives now fuel unease. No new fact is introduced, yet the emotional context shifts entirely. That shift is powerful because once public perception tilts, it is difficult to recalibrate. Music, even if every legal challenge collapses, even if every intake report is dismissed, the association lingers. People inside the music industry admit privately that reputational damage does not require conviction. It requires repetition. And repetition is abundant right now. Each new wave, whether sparked by federal documents or rival posts, reinforces the narrative.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious.
There is also the question of timing. Why does this convergence happen now, when Diddy's legal battles intensify and 3 million pages of federal material become public? Some insiders speculate that mass document releases create hunting seasons for names. Others suggest that rival camps monitor those releases closely, ready to amplify any mention that serves their interests. The follower screenshots that resurface, some tracing back to prior controversies, suggest orchestration. Even if the numbers are not as dramatic as claimed, the perception of collapse carries its own weight, creates headlines. It invites think pieces, pushes casual observers into suspicion. And suspicion is sticky. Music. Once someone reads that millions are unfollowing, they do not wait to verify. They internalize the narrative that something must be wrong. The legal battles now operate in parallel with the cultural ones. On paper, music cases are filed, withdrawn, and countered. In public, perception moves faster than court calendars. Every time a filing includes a shocking claim, even if later contested, that claim imprints. The detail remains searchable. It becomes part of the digital footprint. Jay-Z's legal team can point to alibis and documentation. They can cite public appearances, scheduled presentations, and documented travel. But those clarifications do not circulate with the same intensity as the initial allegation. And this asymmetry fuels the sense that control is slipping. Music. People close to the Carters insist they are accustomed to pressure, that fame requires thick skin. Yet this feels different because it is not a single scandal. It is a layering of associations, music accusations, rival provocations, and algorithmic amplification. As the days pass, no single development resolves anything. Instead, the narrative grows tentacles. New commentators dissect the intake report. Others revisit the withdrawn lawsuit. Rival music posts spark fresh commentary threads. Old footage resurfaces. Each piece is small on its own. Together, they create the impression of a larger pattern. Whether that pattern exists or not, that impression matters. It influences brand deals, collaborations, and public mood. It forces strategic meetings behind closed doors. It tests loyalty within inner circles. It invites speculation about fractures that may or may not exist. And perhaps most destabilizing of all, it leaves open the possibility that another name drop, another intake summary, another civil filing could surface at any moment, reigniting the cycle. So what is actually unfolding here? Is this a coordinated narrative assault designed to weaken a rival billionaire at a moment of vulnerability? Is it the inevitable consequence of decades spent in elite circles now under federal scrutiny? Are old tensions inside the marriage being quietly magnified by outside forces? Or is this simply the cost of fame in an era where document dumps and social feeds collide? The files are still public. The trial is still ahead. The posts are still up. Music, leave your thoughts and theories in the comments. Pick a side if you want or question both, because this story is not finished and the next headline may land before anyone regains control.